Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and today we're gonna talk about the worst financial mistakes that you can actually make in your 20s. As you can see, I have 15 items here and 5 tier lists, which go from financially devastating to annoying but recoverable. So, financially devastating decisions are such decisions that will actually ruin your life, maybe forever, maybe for a few decades. But annoying but recoverable, that is something that is still bad, but is manageable, that you can recover from, that you can just stop doing and go on with your life and live successfully ever after. So I just want to mention that none of these things is a financial advice, and please do your own research before making any kind of financial decisions. With that in mind, let's begin. First thing that we have here is avoiding financial education. I believe that this is something which is very hard to do in the 21st century if you have an internet and an interest in finance. If you're actually interested in making your financial life good, if you're interested in improving your finances, I do believe that nowadays it's actually very easy to do so. It's very easy to go online to research things, to watch some YouTube videos about how to invest, about where to invest, and make your own decision, or maybe go on and consult with someone, and just to know how to budget things, to know how to calculate your expenses, etc. And figure out some steps towards actual financial freedom and towards a financially smart life, right? And I do believe that even though this is not like straight up bad debt taking or something like that, it can be a very devastating thing for your future life. If you're avoiding financial education, if you're avoiding getting to know stuff about finances, of course your finances will be messed up because you just do not know what you are doing, right? And it's actually very important to differ between actual financial education that you can get maybe somewhere on the internet or also in universities, right? And differ these from the financial courses that online gurus will be trying to sell you and tell you to invest in cryptocurrencies, etc. So it's important to know the difference, but I am here talking about the actual financial education, where you just get to know how to budget things, what to do with your money, what to do when the paycheck comes in. I believe that if you are not doing it, right, if you are avoiding it, you are actually massively setting yourself back in life, because the further down the road you will learn the things, right, the harder the life will be for you, because these first years in your 20s are mostly the most important one for you to set up yourself for the future growth. The earlier you learn things, the easier it is for you to live further. So I will be putting avoiding financial education to the A tier because I do believe it's a massive setback, but it's not as financially devastating as taking out extreme loans, right? So you can recover from that, but still, if you are not doing it, you are setting yourself back. So A tier it is. Next one on the line is a very popular thing, and it's actually buying a car you cannot afford. Because when you just turn 20s, you get your first job, you go on there on the internet or you go on to the car dealership, right, and you see all of these amazing cars that you can finance by paying $300 to $400 to $500 or euros per month, right? And you think that, damn, I was working so hard, I was studying so hard, etc, etc, I can just go out there and buy the car of my dreams. Of course, maybe not the Lamborghini or something like that, but still a very good car, let's say a good Audi or BMW or whatever is there, the Nissan that you have been dreaming about, right? A good car on a payment, right? On a payment plan, because you cannot actually go out there and afford to buy it, right? Straight out. You need to pay for it in monthly installments for years and years to come. So there are actually very different opinions on loans, on car loans specifically, right? And whether or not it's worth taking those out. But mostly what I hear from people who know something about personal finance is that it's pretty devastating for you to take out a car loan because the car is depreciating asset, right? So you will be losing the money on it anyways, and then you will owe the interest on it. So it's a very bad thing to buy from the financial viewpoint, right? I do understand that it's a very tempting thing to do, right? I myself sometimes look at these cars and I see what can I buy for like $300 per month, and it's like insane. You can buy a great car, but then if you will sit down with a calculator, if you will sit down with an Excel and will try to figure out how much you will actually pay for it, right? it's crazy money, and it's not worth it actually. It's worth to invest it. It's worth to invest it in your education, in financial market, etc. It's worth to spend this money or something else when you're young and cannot actually afford to buy the car straight out, right? Because there are lots of cars that you can buy very cheaply and which are reasonable, right? You can go out there and buy this Toyota, which will be used, right? Will have some miles on it or kilometers, but you will be able to drive it for years, and it's not gonna suck out all of your money, and you will not be actually owing interest on it, right? So I do believe it's a very bad financial decision for you, but at the same time, lots and lots of people do it and recover somehow. So I do believe that this can be actually financially devastating for your future finances if you will compare it, right, to just investing this money and waiting for 50 years, right? But this is a scenario which is like very idealistic. But at the same time, if you're buying a car on a loan, of course you are not breaking up your life. You will be able to recover at some point. But I do believe that it will be very expensive for you at the moment and in the future, right? Because you will be paying lots and lots of money for the depreciating asset, which will actually never grow up in value, right? Most probably. So I will put it in the expensive lesson category, right? Because you can recover from it, but I personally wouldn't want to do it myself, and I do see it as a big financial mistake, right? But still, the B tier it is. The next one is more of a mental thing than actual financial one, is comparing yourself to your peers, which is very hard not to do, especially in the era of social media, right? When you can see everything online, you can see the people of your age who are going out there buying Lamborghinis and living their best life, right? And at the same time, you also can compare yourself to your friends, to your classmates, to your course mates, etc. And I do believe that it's actually very devastating for you, for your mental health, because it's very important to know and understand that actually every one of us is being born in very, very different families, in very different obstacles, with very, very different start, right? And it's of course very sad when you are born on the bad side of it, right? When you do not have the advantages. Of course it's very sad and you want to compare yourself to everyone else who has all of the things from the start, but it's meaningless, just ruining your mental health because you will be comparing yourself to the people that have some advantages that you don't have, right? For example, or people who are just simply smarter than you, or people who have been just working way harder than you, right? And you have been just playing video games, and now you want to do something like them, but now guess what? You have to work as hard as them for some years to achieve their result, right? So I would say that we all want to do it because that's how our brain works, I believe, right? Because that's how our human nature is, but it doesn't help you, right? It helps you to just understand where you are, right? And maybe where you should be, or maybe show you the direction where you should be going in one way or another. But at the same time, it's definitely not something that you should be doing on a daily basis, because you will be just slowly destroying yourself. And I believe that this is a massive setback for you, because while you're sitting down there and comparing yourself, most probably you're not working, right? Because when you're comparing and you're not all the best, you will be just depressed, right? You will be depressed and you will be sitting down there, and instead of working better, instead of doing things, instead of making some decisions, instead of grinding, you will be just sitting there depressed and sad. So I believe that even though this is not a straight up financial thing, right, it's definitely a massive setback for you mentally, and the mental health is very important, and it's one of the very important component of financial stability and financial freedom for your future. So just try your best not to do it as much as possible, because it's not possible to not do it at all, because that's how we are human beings, right? But just try your best to focus on your own life. And that's why I'm putting it in the A tier. I do believe this is a massive setback, and we all should be working with ourselves to limit it as far as possible. Consumer debt is the next one on our list, and yeah, it's a devastating thing, because you go out there and you just buy things that you most probably do not need, and you cannot afford, and you buy it with a huge interest, right? And you are paying for it in monthly installments for months and years to come, and those combine, and then you have this huge debt, and you just cannot breathe most probably, because you just do not know how you will be paying back all of these things. And yeah, I do believe that consumer debt is just a thing which shouldn't, exist in your life if you want to be financially independent and you want to actually make your life great from the finance perspective, right? I do believe that this is something that can destroy your life, because it's one thing to use your credit card once per month to buy something and then paying it back very fast. Some people do it, But it's completely another thing to use your credit card here and there just to buy everything you like when you do not have money for it, and then drowning in the interest rates and not being able to pay it back, and paying back huge percentages and refinancing it, etc. It's devastating, because go out there and watch some financial shows like Excel Financial Audit, right? There are lots of people, especially in the US, unfortunately, that are drowning in debt. And it's actually a financially devastating thing, because it can lead to bankruptcy in the worst case scenario, right? And the bankruptcy is pretty much the game over for you and the restart of your financial life in the very unadvantageous circumstances, let's say it this way. So the consumer debt, I believe, is something that should be avoided at all costs, and I'm doing my best to avoid it, and not having a credit card at all. So yeah, just be very cautious with it, think twice before you do any kind of purchases like that, before buying things that you actually cannot afford, especially things that you do not need. And most of the consumer debt, in my opinion, comes from the things that people do not actually need in their life. They just buy it because, like, they just want this stuff to be there, right? They want to go out there and buy this latest iPhone or whatever, or this microwave that they cannot afford, etc. So yeah, it's definitely a financially devastating thing that can ruin your life. So let's go with S tier. Next one on the list is a very scary thing, is co-signing loans. So we will not go into the legal details, because they actually differ from country to country, from state to state, and all around the world the rules are different. But co-signing loans, actually, from my standpoint, means that you go out there and you say that if the person who is actually taking the loan is not going to be able to pay it back, you will be paying this loan back, right? And it's a very risky thing to do, and it's actually a very privileged thing to do from the perspective of finance, right? You have to be very, very privileged in terms of finances to go out there and co-sign loans safely, to go out there and help your family member or a friend by saying, yeah, if you are gonna fail, I will gonna pay this loan back. You have to be pretty wealthy and well off to do that, right? This kind of money that you will be paying out for this person shouldn't be anything significant for you, right? And most probably, if you're in your 20s and watching this video, you are not that well off in life yet. I would say that co-signing loans can be very bad for you, because you do not control this person with whom you're co-signing the loan. You do not know what will happen to this person. You do not know how the life will turn down and what's gonna happen, and what this person is gonna do. Maybe this person is gonna go all crazy, right? And you will be stuck there with his or her loan. Not the best situation to be in. For sure, not the best situation. So I would say that it's a very devastating thing, because you cannot control it, you do not know what will happen, and from the one viewpoint, of course, everything can go smoothly and good, this person will just pay back their loan, and from the other, it can be devastating, and you can just, end up paying loans of other people, and maybe not even receiving the benefit from it at all, right? At the end of the day, not even receiving the thing that you have been paying for. So I would avoid it at all costs. And for me, it's definitely a financially devastating thing to do, because it's something that can actually not only kill your wealth, but also make your life very, very hard at some point, and make you depressed and sad, etc., etc., because all of a sudden you have to pay for somebody else's mistake. And yeah, definitely avoid it at all costs, and that's why we'll put it in financially devastating category for sure. Fear of investing is a very psychological thing, right? Because lots of people are actually fearing the fact that they can lose money in the market or whatever else financial asset that they will be investing in, right? So they are working hard, they are saving their money, they are maybe even budgeting, but they are fearing to invest their money because they fear that they will lose everything. And it's actually very understandable, and as a person coming from the Eastern Europe, I can say to you that it's very popular in these countries, which are not as well off as Western Europe or the United States, because we had lots of laybacks and lots of turbulence in our history, right? And so lots of people have been saving money and kind of investing them with the banks in the past, right? They have lost all of their money just because the banks have been disappearing. The investment firms, as they were calling themselves, have been disappearing as well, right? So people are actually in a great fear of investing their money. They are afraid that they will lose their money, and I do understand that totally. And I do believe that these people also exist in the US and Western Europe, of course, because since any kind of investment is a risk, right? It can be different risk depending on whether you invest in cryptocurrencies or ETFs, right? But or gold, or just a savings account. But it's still a risk in any of the cases, right? It's just different risk. So in order to be financially independent and build your future and build your pension and build your wealth, right, in one way or another, person have to be investing, right, in something that is gonna grow their money, because another way their savings will just disappear because of the inflation, right? Or not disappear, but just become way less usable, right? You will just have less money, that's it. I would say that this is not kind of a setback or devastating thing to do, but it's definitely a slow wealth killer, because it will be happening slowly, it is the inflation now about 3% per year, something like that. Depends, of course, on the part of the world you're in, but it's definitely a slow wealth killer that is not going to allow you to become really wealthy. But at the same time, it's very important to choose the investments very wisely, right? So, it's a 50-50 thing, because I totally understand people who have fear of investing, but still I believe that this is their wealth killer in one way or another. So the C tier it is. Depreciating assets is the same as consumer debt in one way or another, but it's specifically about the financing things like cars, like jewelry, like tech stuff, like new phones or notebooks, etc., or gadgets. It's very similar to consumer debt, so I do not want to spend lots of time on it, but I believe that it's still financially devastating, just because you are spending way more money on the things that you cannot afford, which are depreciating, right? So you are spending more on the things that will cost way less. And from the financial viewpoint, it just doesn't make sense. So I do believe that if you do it intentionally and a long period of time, it definitely is going to be very devastating for your finances. So for sure, it's an S tier thing. Not having an emergency fund can play a very bad joke for you, because emergencies happen every day, every other day, for different people, of course, hopefully not for one and the same person, but they happen, and most probably in your life you will have some kind of emergency, whether it will be a flat tire or other thing needs to be fixed in your car, or fixing your teeth, or any kind of health problem, etc. You need money for it, right? And if you do not have emergency fund, even if you are actually investing in budgeting, but you do not have money set aside for emergency, most probably it's gonna be a very devastating thing for you at one point in your life, because you will not be able to urgently afford to buy and do something. And as a person who himself is at the very beginning of financial journey, right, I would say that saving an emergency fund, saving money, knowing that you have this money in case of any problem, right, is very calming financially. You know that you have there something saved that's like is your cushion, that can save you, that can help you, that you actually start to think differently. Even if you will get fired on your workplace, of course it will be bad and very sad, but you will have some money to survive and find another job. It's helping you to be more present at the moment when not working just because of money maybe sometimes, and making some riskier but better decisions in your life, which we'll talk about later in this video. So I would say that not having an emergency fund is an expensive lesson, because if you will have an emergency, you will be going down to your investments or taking a loan and starting this very bad circle of events, right? So I would say that it's expensive lesson, but it's very easy to save it, right? You just save your money, you just live on less than you make, and you just save this emergency fund for yourself to feel better and not to have this bad surprise in the future. So it definitely is an expensive lesson. Next one is not investing at all. So we have already talked about the fear of investing, but here we will talk about the person who doesn't believe in investments, who is fearing them as much that they do not want to invest any money in anything, maybe except a savings account in the bank, which technically is also an investment, but not to an extent that actual investments are, right? So that's not actually that devastating in terms of your day-to-day life, because if you are still budgeting and still saving your money, right, and maybe buying a house and paying out a mortgage, which is an investment in one way or another, but a very bad one, not investing at all is a bad idea, but it's not like, devastating thing that will kill your finances at the present moment. But long term, that's definitely something that will be very bad for you, because in our lifetime, in our life, in our age, it's very, very hard to actually make your money work for you without investing. That just doesn't work like that, right? So if you're just saving your money under the cushion, and if you're just not investing at all, it's probably a massive setback for you, especially in your future, especially if you want to retire, right? I am not sure how much you should be making and saving in order not to invest and still have money in 10 years time. I do believe that it's a massive setback, and every person can actually find something that they are comfortable with investing in, right? So not investing at all is definitely not the best option, at least from my opinion, so I am putting it in A tier as a massive setback. Next one on the list is not tracking your budget. So you have a payslip, you have a money coming in every month, every week, every quarter or whatever, right? You have money coming in, but you do not budget, you do not know where they are going, you do not set the standards of how much money you should be spending, right? And on the one hand, it can look very innocent thing, you just do not know where your money goes, but I do believe that everyone should be treating their money, their budget as a CFO, as Chief Financial Officer, because if you are not tracking your money, you don't know where they're going, and if you do not know where they're going, it's very easy to just lose all of it, to debt maybe, to the things that you do not actually need, to not investing, etc, etc, etc. So I would say that at any level of wealth, at any level of salary, at any level of money making, you should know approximately at least how much you make and where the money is going, right? And what are you doing, and what percentage of your payslip or whatever money you're receiving is going towards the financial needs, what amount of money is going to financial wants, etc. What amount of money you are saving for your future or for your kids' future if you have kids, right? So I would say that not tracking your budget is financially devastating, because it may seem very innocent, but in fact, it's something that is preventing lots and lots of people from actually living their best financial life, because they just do not know how much they are making. I can't imagine not knowing how much you are making, but there are lots of people who do not know. They just get some approximate number of money every month, and then they just go out there and spend it. And in a few weeks' time, they just do not have money. And, as a more, analytical person with my mindset, I have never understood it, but there are lots of people like that. And, there is nothing inherently bad about it. You can choose to do whatever with your money. But if you are not tracking it, just do not be surprised that you do not have any at the end of the month or in a few weeks' time. So, for me, it's definitely an S tier, financially devastating decision for sure. So, let's put it there. Overoptimizing expenses is something that lots of internet gurus will be teaching you to do, right? Because lots of especially people from older generations are saying that Gen Zs and our generation is spending too much money or coffee and going out. And even though partly it's true, in fact, just by not drinking coffee a few times a week, if you're not extreme and drinking it 3 times a week in Starbucks every day, then I don't think it's gonna change your life very much, right? Just have your budget on things that you want to do. Just have your budget on fun things, on things that you can afford, right? And just go out there and spend this money and have fun, whatever, just be happy about it. So over-optimizing your expenses and not allowing yourself to have fun at any cost, right? Not affording yourself, to get some good things in your life, not allowing yourself to have fun and over-optimizing your expenses by just saving a few $100 per month. If you have an okay-ish salary, if you budget, if you invest, I would say that it's, not worth it at all. But at the same time, it's definitely not financially devastating. From this, you can go to a normal life very easily, just by changing your attitude to it. So I would say that it can be very annoying for yourself, for your mental health, but it's definitely recoverable because you just change how you spend your money. And it's way easier than getting out of consumer debt or starting to track your finances or budget or getting back from co-signing a loan, right? So it's definitely on the F tier, so it's not bad, it's not inherently devastating, but it's very recoverable and just annoying. I would say that it's very important to have fun in the way that you can afford, so let's put it in the F tier. Relying on your parents financially is something that lots of people do, and I do not see anything bad about it. Because we live in a world where I think we're the first generation, the Gen Zs, that are when approaching the same age as their parents did, decades ago, are not making as much as they did. Just because the economy changed, the trends have changed, everything has changed, right? So there are lots of cases when parents actually have money and have a possibility and ability to help their children with whatever, maybe daily expenses, which may be giving them a down payment for a mortgage or even buying them out a house if they are well off. and I do not see anything bad about it. I would want everyone in the world to have such parents, right? But at the same time, there are lots of people who are relying on their parents financially, right? Maybe even to a great extent when they can't actually live their life on the same level without their parents' support, but at the same time, they get from time to time angry at their parents, they blame them for things, etc. So I would say that is bad. So I would say that it's not bad to rely on your parents, but it's actually very important to understand that you are not entitled to it. And if you are getting any kind of help from them, just be thankful for it and hope to pay them back at some point in your life when you will get more successful. So I wouldn't say that it's a setback or a wealth killer. I would say that it can be annoying, when you are relying on them and maybe they are not as well off and they are actually giving a chunk of their salary for you. I would say that it's like not good when you are an adult, right? But it's a situation which depends on every person and every family, etc. And it definitely can be annoying in some situations, especially when these children and people who are getting the benefit are not grateful, right? So I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's definitely something that should be evaluated on case-by-case basis. So let's put it in the F tier here as annoying but recoverable in case something bad happens. So yeah. Next one is very important, and it's about the risky investments, right? Because when you are young and you go out on the internet, most of the kind of financial videos that you will see are about making lots of money right now, making lots of money by leveraging your finances, by maybe investing in very, very risky assets like altcoins or some scam crypto project, etc. And I would say that it's definitely a massive setback, and it can be a massive setback not only because you can lose your money, which is very normal when you invest in risky assets, right? When you make risky investments, but you can also lose interest in investing at all just because your first encounter with investing has been such a negative thing, right? If you go out there and you invest your money in an assets that go pump and dump, right, which go to zero, and you lose your few $1,000s that you have been saving for some time, it can be very devastating for you mentally, and you would think, nah, investing is not for me. Actually, you have to be very smart to do it, and I will not be doing it, right? So that's definitely not something worth doing, right? In terms of seeking financial independence, it's actually a very bad thing to do, in my opinion. So, but it's very hard to avoid, especially when you are young and you go on the internet and you believe that you are the smartest guy in the room, right? Because you are the smartest. Not all of these people who are investing in ETFs and waiting for their 10% per year for 20 years. No, you will go out there and become a millionaire in a few days' time and will be an amazing trader, of course. And that's just not what happens in most of the cases. So risky investments, it depends on their amounts, because you can lose everything if you're investing everything, and it can be financially devastating, and especially if you're taking out loans to invest, that can be very crazy. But I would say that by default it's a massive setback, not only financially but also mentally. So A tier it is. So we have two last things left, and the next one is staying in a low paying job, right? That's a very hard question, right? Because I do believe that most of the people who are not making enough money, who are always sad about their salary, that are always saying that, nah, I'm not getting paid enough, or the government is bad, or the employer is bad, or the CEO is bad, and everyone is bad, just not me. I am here, life turned out this way, and I'm a victim, nobody's paying me enough money. I would say that it's definitely not a thing that you should be doing, because I would say that in most of the professions, in most of the career paths, in most of the jobs, you are able to make more by just doing a little bit better job, by researching a bit, right? Wherever you are working, in the office, as a blue-collar worker, etc., if you have accumulated enough experience from your job, which can be low-paying relatively, right, you can transform this knowledge into the next job offer, into the next position, and make more money. You just should be proactive, right? You should be learning new things, you should be obtaining new certifications, new experiences. You should understand how your career path works, right? You should be going out there every other day and seeing open positions and seeing what they are requiring. What should I be doing to receive like a few K per month more, right? What should I learn? What kind of things I should be doing? What stuff should I be expert in, right? And if you are doing it, it's very easy to progress. It just takes a year or two in the relatively low paying position to update to a better one, and then update to a better one, etc. And then get into the management. And whatever. I am not in the blue collar work field, but I do believe that it's same there, right? You just get the skill, you become good at it, and you go out there and sell it for more money, or you open your own small business, whatever, right? So I would say that staying in a low paying job is financially devastating. Not because making small amounts of money is bad, because it's normal, everyone starts somewhere. Or even you can be set back by life, because lots of bad things happen to people, right? But just staying there and not making an effort to upgrade your life and just being sad and sitting there, I would say that it's very bad for you from all of the perspectives, especially from the financial one. So go out there, do your own research. Go out there and find better paying job. If your field is not actually providing you with opportunities, just switch the field. We have so much opportunities nowadays with the internet. I'm not saying it's easy, it's not easy at all, but life is not easy. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely better than to just sit there and cry that you don't have enough money and you are making not enough money and the CEO is bad. So yeah, definitely financially devastating things. Last but definitely not least is subscription creep. Nowadays everything is subscription based and is sucking your money on a monthly basis from your wallet, from your credit card, from your card, etc., right? For everything you should be paying in monthly installments, and that is why it's very easy to get lost. Because you're paying $2 for this subscription here, $10 for this, $20 for that, and you just do not see it, but you are starting to spend maybe hundreds of dollars per month for subscriptions, right? And most of the things you are probably not using, right? And I would say that it's a bad thing because you just do not control your finances. Your money are just flowing away in the directions you do not know. Some of the subscriptions are monthly, some of the subscriptions are quarterly, some of the subscriptions are annual, right? And they are just pretty much stealing your money without you knowing, but you signed up for this. There is nothing bad about it for these companies. They just provide you with a service, right, which you agreed upon. So yeah, but for you, yeah, you're just losing your money very often to the things that you do not know. So what I do, I just write down the subscription as I have, and I try my best to cut as many of those as possible, especially those that I do not use on a daily basis, right? So if you will do it, you will be left with something like music and maybe professional subscription for your day-to-day life or for your hobby, like video editing stuff or whatever is there. So yeah, subscription creep is real, and I think that it will be only worse with the years because more and more things are subscription based and it's very easy to lose the track of it, right? So it's definitely not a financially devastating thing because you can stop it at any possible point, right? But it's definitely a slow wealth killer because you do not see it, you cannot actually track it. For most of the people, they do not track it, but it's killing your wealth because this 10, 50, $100 per month is something that you could have invested or saved, etc. Or bought something actually valuable. So it's definitely a slow wealth killer. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you watched till this point. Well, I very much appreciate it. Do not forget to subscribe to my Discord server, link is down below, and let me know in the comments whether you agree with me or not on each of the specific items, maybe you disagree on something. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, it means a lot for me. And I will be seeing you most probably next week in my new video. So thank you and bye for now.